April 1st, 2011, from the stylish high-tech underground studios of Ribbit Media in not yet flooded Warwick, Rhode Island, this is News Undies. For April 1st, 2011, this is News Undies, all the news that shouldn't be news. I'm Paul Torville with these headlines. Japan hit by largest earthquake in recorded history. Muslim peacemongers demonstrate the ecumenical nature of Islam by burning Christian churches in Ethiopia. Michelle Bachmann opens mouth, forming unprecedented reality distortion field. Japan hit by giant tsunami decides to share. No-fly zone imposed on Libya by flying military jets over Libya. Gilbert Gottfried fired for doing what Gilbert Gottfried does. Peace imposed on Libya by dropping bombs on Libya. And now, here's Chicken with the latest installment of The Numbers.
What? No stupid pun about chickens or eggs or hatching or anything? All right, here we go. 13. The first Mega Millions number I didn't hit in the $300 million draw. 24. The second Mega Millions number I didn't hit in the $300 million draw. 40. The third Mega Millions number I didn't hit in the $300 million draw. 42. The fourth Mega Millions number I didn't hit in the $300 million draw. 55. The fifth Mega Millions number I didn't hit in the $300 million draw. And that's the numbers.
Thanks, Chicken. That was extraordinary.
You suck!
People die all the time. When famous people do it, we get Ollie Oliphant to pick through the pile of dead bodies.
Yes, well, let's get started, shall we? Singer Johnny Preston, comedian Mike DeStefano, bassist Mike Starr, Clinton-era Secretary of State Warren Christopher, German-born polar bear Knut, actress Dame Elizabeth Taylor, former U.S. VP candidate Geraldine Ferraro, BET personality, whatever that means, DJ Megatron. And that's who's dead. Quite.
Thanks, Ollie. Gaddafi's face work. With all the turmoil in Libya, Yemen, Syria, Bahrain, and Jordan, to say nothing of the aftermath of the earthquake and tsunami in Japan, and the ongoing fragility of the global economic system, it's easy to lose sight of the important things, like the wedding of Prince William and Kate What's-Her-Face. Just think of the changes that will sweep through the United Kingdom once Prince William ascends the throne. Of course, his grandmother will have to die first. At age 84, she can't have too many decades left. Then his father, Prince Charles, will have to take the throne and subsequently die. He's 62 now, so if his folks are any indication of Charles' life expectancy, William won't see the throne until at least 2039. He'll be 56. Don't count on the crown having any more power in the UK in 2039 than it does now. Just saying. Daily Kos has reported that U.S. Representative Martha Roby, Republican from Alabama, is sponsoring a bill in the House of Representatives. The bill is H.R. 205. What does the bill propose? Officially legislating the value of pi to be 3. Plain old 3. Anti-Republican sentiment ignited among liberals and the internet caught fire. Alas, it seems H.R. 205 is actually a bill to amend a 1955 act which allows American Indians to lease tribal lands. Snopes.com reveals this trope has been circulating in various forms since 1998. Apparently, Kos is suffering from premature ejaculation. The recent $300 million Mega Millions jackpot notwithstanding, the Society of Jesus, better known as the Jesuit Order of Catholic Clergy, has agreed to pay $166 million to Native Americans and Alaskan Natives who were abused, that is, raped and or sexually molested, at the Order's schools around the Pacific Northwest. This is the Catholic Church's third largest settlement to date, coming in behind Los Angeles Diocese at $660 million and San Diego Diocese at $198 million. These top three settlements amount to over $1 billion paid out, of which 40% has gone to the victims' attorneys. Of course, as far as we've heard, nobody's put a lien on St. Peter's Basilica yet. Still waiting for that one. Guitar Hero. For those of you who have no actual first-person memory of the presidency of Ronald Reagan, there once was a company called Eastman Kodak. This company held a near monopoly on the consumer photography market, as well as a healthy chunk of the commercial and scientific markets. Of course, that was back when they used stuff called film to record the pictures and then had to chemically develop the film and print the pictures onto paper. You have seen paper, right? Well, while Kodak was once a giant, it has faded mightily in the last 20 years since the advent of high-resolution digital cameras and cheap digital storage. Kodak has not been completely at the switch, however. The company has been involved in R&D for many years and has been granted, or has acquired, many patents. And patents is apparently where it's at for Kodak now. The company has taken to elbowing its way around the cell phone market, hitting up camera phone manufacturers for patent infringement. Kodak has already successfully pestered Samsung and LG to the tune of nearly $1 billion, and now they're going after Apple and Research in Motion, the company that makes the popular BlackBerry handsets. Apparently, the company's plan is to morph from beloved facilitator of nostalgia to inkjet printer maker and patent troll. Step 3? Profit. In 1999, NASA launched Stardust, a spacecraft whose primary mission was to study an asteroid and pass through the coma of Comet Wild 2 to collect samples and send them back to Earth. The sample return capsule successfully touched down January 15, 2006. Now, 12 years after liftoff, Stardust has been commanded to burn the last of its propellant and has been shut down. In February of this year, Stardust visited the comet Tempel 1, the target of a mission called Deep Impact, which in 2005 released a projectile weighing over 800 pounds at the comet, which allowed analysis of many aspects of the comet, including its composition, its density, structure, cohesiveness, and so on. Stardust's visit allowed a late review of the changes in surface features on Tempel 1 subsequent to the arrival of Deep Impact's impactor. Thankfully, nobody in the U.S. gives a crap because Charlie Sheen is winning! Can you smell the doom? Things happen. We all know that. Many people think everything happens for a reason. A reason. As in, somebody somewhere makes a positive decision to cause each event. A new survey reveals that more than half of Americans believe that God is in control of all earthly events. Well, that's something. But consider this. Almost half of Americans not only feel that natural disasters like the recent earthquake and tsunami in Japan are direct conscious acts of a god, but that they are also signs of the so-called end times. A stupefying 29% believe that God sometimes punishes entire nations for the sins of a few individuals. As George Carlin once said, think of how stupid the average person is, and then realize that half of them are stupider than that. I'm trying to think of a reason why such people should be permitted to engage in such potentially dangerous activities as driving city buses, holding public office, or educating children. Nope, I got nothing. As the unrest in Libya continues and the U.S. and its allies enforce the UN-imposed no-fly zone, there is talk now of arming the rebels. Is there any way this can end well? Here are Pig and Sheep with their thoughts.
Arming rebels is a great idea because that creates jobs here in America. Jobs paid for by defense contractors who are paid for by the government. And the government is funded with taxes. Can I get back to you about this?
In September of 1963, President Kennedy said of the conflict in Vietnam, quote, "In the final analysis, it is their war, they're the ones who have to win it or lose it," end quote. Personally, I think that if the no-fly zone is a good idea, let the rest of the United Nations step up to the plate and enforce it. We're busy. And we're broke. I really don't think the U.S. can afford to sign on for another 50-year nation-building exercise.
That's what Pig and Sheep think. What are your thoughts? Email them to ovcomments@newsundies.com. In an era when some women, perhaps most women, protest the superficiality of media portrayals of women, some other women, clearly in the minority, approach the uninhibited objectification of beauty pageants like a pack of gleefully smiling Jews carrying Buchenwald or bust signs as they're shoved aboard cattle cars in Nazi Germany. But if you're an adult and you choose that path for yourself, well, despite the bad example you set, I hope it at least brings you satisfaction. On the other hand, if you're an adult and you choose that path for your child, especially a child of 2 or 3 years old, you may be an irredeemable monster. But fine. You want to set your child up for a lifetime of disappointment and depression, go ahead. I guess that's your prerogative as a parent. For TLC, that's the Learning Channel, to present this practice as something worth learning about, outside the realms of clinical psychology and child development, and to profit handsomely off the presentation, is unconscionable. Or is it just me? Cookie cake? Abercrombie & Fitch, the mall fixture famous for overcharging middle-class kids for mass-produced sweatshop clothes to make them feel like rebelliously sexy, underdressed rich kids, is embroiled in a new controversy. The company offers on its Abercrombie Kids catalog website a girl's bikini-style swim top apparently targeted at pre-teens. That, in itself, may or may not be horrifying. The fact that the top was, as originally offered, described as padded and push-up, is. After parents and advocacy groups pelted the company with complaints, the description on the garment was toned down to padded striped triangle, then just striped triangle. One parent blogger asked, "How is this okay for a second grader?" I doubt we'll be getting any useful insight from the Toddlers and Tiaras set. As you may recall, back in June of 2009, Bret Michaels, Rock of Love Prize and frontman for Poison, ran into a piece of descending scenery following a live performance during that year's Tony Awards. The initial bump reportedly broke his nose, and he reacted by falling backwards, flat on his back. He was helped up and off the stage by the performers for the next act, Shrek and Donkey. In April of last year, Michaels was hospitalized with a subarachnoid brain hemorrhage, which he subsequently claimed was the result of the Tony Awards incident. Now, apparently fully recovered, Michaels is suing both the organizers of the Tony Awards and CBS, which broadcast the 2009 event. Michaels' attorney, Alex Weingarten, said in a written statement, quote, "The Tony Awards dropped a piece of the stage on Bret's head, and then, instead of doing the right thing, joked about it and played it off for ratings," end quote. Psst. Alex, have you seen the video? Bret ran into something being lowered in front of him, which he would have been able to see if he wasn't wearing that ridiculous hat. With such liberal, hyperbolic use of language, I'm sure the trial, if it ever comes about, will be a hoot. And finally, and I do mean finally, we all saw this coming, didn't we? Well, personally, I'd hoped the day would come, but somehow it seemed like one of those things that you hope for and think should happen, but somehow never does, like humans returning to the moon, or the U.S. pulling out of Iraq and Afghanistan. But finally, Oprah Winfrey's talk show is drawing to a close. Last show scheduled for May 25th. Maybe with all that free time, she could go and talk to Glenn Beck and convince him into retiring. No? How about Rush Limbaugh? I thought not. Crap. Well, that's all for this edition of News Undies. Remember, News Undies is a monthly show, and the next episode is scheduled for Friday, May 6th, so be here for that. If you see news that shouldn't be news, email your story tips to undies@newsundies.com. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Paul Torville. After that, I'll be standing by with my wet vac. Oh, come on. You remember the floods. You were here for that, weren't you? Well, okay, if you were in Montana, you weren't. But still. Bedtime. April of last year, Michaels was hospitalized with a subarachnoid brain hemorrhage. Hemorrhoid. Yeah, these things happen all the time.